don't mind, just we start with a short prayer, and then I will start introducing everything myself, what we're doing, etc. Okay? So, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Let us put ourselves in the presence of the Lord. And let us entrust the Lord. If we have any worry, any burden, any difficulty, just to entrust it to the Lord Jesus. Let us open our heart to His grace, to His love. He is the one who called us. He is the one who helps us each step in our life. So, like little children with a total trust in Him, let us entrust ourselves, entrust our life, all who we are, put ourselves in His hands, knowing that we are safe, and showing Him really that we love Him through that act of trust and entrustment. Mary, Our Lady, is here with us, helping us, guiding us toward her Son. Let us ask and pray for her intercession, so she can obtain all the graces we need today. So it could be a wonderful day spent with the Lord, deepening our faith and our spiritual life. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. So, just before forgetting to mention that, just in the beginning, after, of course, saying good morning to everybody. Delighted to see you here. This course is recorded, both audio and video, but just to help you after the end of the course, not in the middle of the course, but after the end of the course, to be able to watch it again, if you want, on YouTube. If you attend the entire course, if you really commit for the entire course, which I think you all are doing, you will then ask for the link, and you will receive the link to be able to watch. It will be your link, it will be only for you, and then you can watch again if you think that there are some parts that you weren't maybe be able to gather all what was explained, or you want to listen to it again. It never harms to listen to certain things again. So just for you, as a peace of mind, to know that it is recorded. So I think it's better to focus on what is happening today here, on the grace of today, more than just accumulating knowledge. The goal is not to accumulate knowledge first, but the goal is first to live this day as a unique day, a unique opportunity to learn something about the topic, today's topic. Myself, I think many of you know me already, or maybe read or some naughty person brought you here, so I think you will probably have an idea, maybe excessive, maybe sometimes, but I'm specialized. I'm a layperson. I'm married. I have a little tiny daughter. I am specialized in spiritual life, and more precisely, formation in spiritual life. Formation means, in case you're not maybe aware of it, formation means first something you probably never heard of or never think of, what I call the novitiate room. Of course, we are all lay people, but the experience of the church, the spiritual experience of the church is, in general, conveyed during the initial years of formation for consecrated people. We are not consecrated, but we are all baptized, so in a way we are all consecrated. The desire of the School of Mary, which we are here in the School of Mary, this school created in 2003 just to provide formation in spiritual life. The idea of the School of Mary is to open the richness, the treasures of the church that many people don't know. These treasures in general should be conveyed to the human being, when he or she is in the early stages of the formation, sometimes as religious or monks in the novitiate. So the novitiate is the first year of formation, and the master of novices gathers the novices, or the mistress of novices, gather the novices, and they start to form, not only into religious life, which is not of interest for us now, but what is of interest for us is the spiritual life, because you can't lead a deep spiritual life if we are not formed. So the richness of the church and of this or that specific family, I don't know, Franciscans, Dominicans, Benedictines, and on and on and on. The church is very rich. So each family starts to convey the richness, the specific richness they have, and as well the general richnesses that we have in the church. So the idea of the school was initially something absolutely crazy, which is to open that intimate, that personal place, which is the novitiate room, to everybody. Of course, not everybody, people who feel attracted, who want to know more about their spiritual life. So this is, bottom line, this is just to let you know that there is deeper spiritual life. It is offered, of course, everywhere, but in a more specific way during the formation time. My personal desire in doing that was not to deprive adults, Christian adults, from the richnesses that we have in the church. Because I had the opportunity to be involved in formation for many years. I'm involved in formation for more than 20 years now in the church. Religious, nuns, cloister nuns, contemplative, future priests, and of course, lay people. So I know how rich it can be, and it saddens me that the church keeps saying to everybody, we are all called to holiness, but when it comes to, and I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself millions of times because I repeat this often, the church invites everybody, reminds everybody that we are all called by God, by our baptism, to become holy. But when it comes to defining what is holiness, with a little bit more of precision, when it comes on defining a little bit the means, the journey and the means that will lead to that alleged holiness that we don't know, Maybe, yes, of course, we saw John Paul II, we saw Mother Teresa. These maybe are the most shiny and known persons in the last, I would say, 30, 40 years, 30 years, not 40, okay? Mother Teresa, of course, goes ways back. So, but apart from seeing them like this appearing, we don't know how to reach that. And strangely, the Church still insists, repeats, we are all called to holiness. Okay, so that's the thing. Seeing that and seeing it pains me. It aches to see that on one hand, yes, we all agree on that. You go anywhere in the Catholic Church and say, are we all really all called to become holy? The answer will be yes, of course, no doubt. But then after that, it's a bit of a mystery. We have some indications, but it's not taken really with what I humbly would consider with more commitment and more depth and more substance, I would say. Okay? So, forgive me if this statement looks a little bit too blunt in your eyes, but this is just an idea for you to understand why we are here. And this is why I said we are not here first to accumulate knowledge, we are here to learn from the richness that God put in the Church, how to follow Jesus, how to follow Jesus, simply. There is an art how to follow Jesus. We have masters, spiritual masters, throughout 20 centuries. The richness is immense. You can't imagine the richness we have. I'm not talking of money, of course. I'm talking about teaching. I'm talking about experience of God. The journey, the difficulties, the ups and downs, etc. Okay, so that's the idea. We need to discover this. We shouldn't remain in this poverty in which we are. Okay, so that's the simple idea. What do I have to say? Well, of course, if I'm doing this, I'm formed in order to do it. So you can guess my formation, either intellectual or spiritual as well. I owe almost everything to the French Carmelites of the southern province. I had a huge grace and opportunity to be with them, to be trained by them in spiritual life, and I will never dare stand and present spiritual life, convey spiritual life, if I wasn't, if I hadn't had this grace of being helped and formed by them. If you are audacious enough, you can sit here if you want. I know it's a bit too close, but you'll be very close, I believe. Okay. So, yeah, okay. So this is for the general view, in order for you to understand what we are doing, what we will be doing here together. Now, the course itself, let us start. Have I forgot something? Yes, emergency exit is here, this way. Fire exit, no? Of course, we hope that no fire, we won't have any fire throughout the course and always. But we have to mention that it's there. It's a little door open, you go down. Where you will go, I don't know. You will find a way to escape the fire. Which fire, I don't know, but anyway. Okay, so try not to throw the smoke cigarettes and throw the thing on the floor. Okay, that's it. I think it will be enough. So, without further ado, let us start. So, again, and I'm delighted to have you all here. It's a huge consolation for me to see so many people. I'm sure in London we have plenty more people, but to see so many people wanting to grow, because this is the idea, no? Of steady growth. And some people who already followed other courses in the School of Mary, of course, they knew that they had the announcement of that course before. But for the new persons, and there are many today, the people who are organizing the course through Faro, Leonora this time, and then other courses we will have other persons who are here as well, discreetly. the condition, they ask me, what is the condition? Because is it too advanced? Is it in the middle? Is it too... my answer was simply the following. I said, this course is for a fervent Christian, or if you prefer, a determined Christian to grow. I think a lot of the moment after conversion, second conversion, not necessarily first conversion, but second conversion, like when a person is a Christian, say it's a case, no, it's a case. It might be you. We are Christian, and then, but you know, traditional Christian, we received Christianity from our parents, from the church, from the parish, from whatever. But you know, sort of received traditionally. We are more on automatic, on routine Christianity, but we are not really aware. And then one day, the Lord comes. We never know that day when it will happen. It can be very progressive. It doesn't have to be very powerful. It can be subtle sometimes, but intensifying. The Lord comes. We are rather adult, but I know we have people who hear that call very early, even in their teenager or maybe before teenager. The Lord comes and knocks at the door of our heart and puts a little bit our life a bit upside down. Sometimes in an almost very strong way, violent way, sometimes in a gentle way. You know, I don't know how upside down would be gentle, but anyway. So, and then things start to change. We discover that Jesus, or God, who's somewhere there, maybe in the sky, we don't know, becomes real, becomes there, present in our life, and the journey starts. The journey starts. This formation course comes at that junction, which is, I started to commit to spiritual life, I learned few things, I'm starting to read few books, or I have a good prayer life, but I need to know more. What will happen? Where are we supposed to go? Is it this the new life, or there is something more to it? You see, that's where the course is situated. So we have a committed Christian, more or less. We have a person who has more or less a relationship with the Lord, who knows the difference or feels the difference between just general faith and having a personal relationship. You might have a very fervent prayer life, you might have it sort of on and off, but then you want to know, what am I supposed to do at that junction? What will be my Christian life? Will it remain as it is? Etc. Okay? That's clear? Do you have any questions, especially for I mean, everybody? I mean, do you have any question? Because I'd like that starting point to be a little bit clear. It will become clearer the more we go, don't worry. But just in case you have a question, just throw it. We are here, friends, we are brothers and sisters. We are not just for a course, we are trying, I hope we will pray as well silently, discreetly for one another. So a bit of simplicity as well, if you want, I think will develop as well between us. So don't hesitate to throw your question if you have a question about just a little bit the meaning of the course. No? Okay. Now, in order to understand a little bit more this ensuring steady growth, it's not a daily thing, it's just happened a few minutes before when we were preparing the room. So usually I don't talk like this. It's not an iron finger, it's just my finger, it's a real one. Okay, so ensuring steady growth. Of course, we mean spiritual steady growth, spiritual growth, okay? Some of my collaborators, people who work with me, together in the school, wanted to change the title, and strangely, this time I was very adamant. Sometimes I can be extremely flexible, but this time I said, no, it will remain Ensuring Steady Growth. I won't change it. Why? Because for me, it says everything. First of all, spiritual growth. Spiritual growth. If Christianity is about to be only in the state of grace, the notion of growth is not necessarily there. Let me explain. A more classical Christianity bears this classic concept: if, God forbid, you sin, gravely, God forbid, you go to confession, after that you are clean, then you can go back to the flock and to the, how do you call it, where all the lambs are, the flock, yeah. Yeah, of course, you guessed that I'm not English. Huh? I'm hiding my accent, so it's a little bit of this, little bit of that, and so it's a lot of French in it. So what did I say? Yeah, the flock. So you go back in the flock, you are in the state of grace, and then you are fine. So we spend our entire life trying to go back or remain in the state of grace until we die. And then when we will die, we will see God. Or maybe we'll cook a little bit in the purgatory, and then we will go and see God. We will go to see God. Okay? Are you following me? That's, I would say, the classic understanding of Christianity. There is nothing wrong with it. But there is a lot to be added to it. You understand what I'm trying to say? There is nothing wrong with it. If you think that, you're fine, but still, we are supposed to discover way more than that. What are we supposed to discover? We are supposed to discover that when we are in a state of grace, and even when we are in this on and off, because we are weak, we are not here athletes already formed, we are weak, so we have this, we fall and get up, we fall and get up, and strangely, we will grow in that movement. We will grow. So, what is added to this is that within that frame of a Christian, committed Christian life, there is growth. So when you say growth, you are starting to change a lot in the understanding of Christianity. Because when you say growth, you are speaking about the goal. And if you speak about the goal, you speak about the journey, the stages, the steps to reach that goal. And if you speak about the journey and the steps, you have to speak about two other things: the means to grow and the discernment. In order to know, am I really growing or not? It's not because I read a book and I started to apply it that everything is fine. I need a bit of discernment. Without discernment, I might be applying it maybe excessively or not enough or partially, or you know, spiritual life is like entering a room by night with no light at all. Spiritual life is like entering a room by night with no light at all. You know that Jesus is in this room. You know that God is helping you. But still, it's a new area, a new place in your life, and you don't know the bearings. You know the bearings? In English, I love this expression. You know, knowing your bearings, which is like, yes, I know this is this, and this is this, but we are almost like blind. So, this brings a huge difficulty and a duty. The difficulty is to manage my spiritual life, and the duty to be formed. We are not born knowing how to manage spiritual life. We need to stop thinking that. We need formation. Many people who attend other courses in spiritual life, they ask and say, why we don't know these things? Why they don't tell us these things? The fact that you know them now means that somebody told you that. So, you see, so the discovery of plenty of things about spiritual life is important. So, back again. Growth means a goal, or goals, plural, goals, one after the other, if you want. It means stages, because this is the goal. Okay, how do I reach the goal? There are stages before reaching that goal. Then after that, two things together means to walk. It's like walking. No, I need to know how to walk. Growth is to walk. But then discernment, because of this obscurity of spiritual life, difficulty to discern. Am I really on the right path or not? This is why we need spiritual direction. No? Even though I teach spiritual life, I personally have my spiritual director. Because I might be wrong. I might err, no? Err, you say err? To go out of the track, no? It's possible. So I need from time to time to check, because maybe I'm losing the plot. Spiritual life, sometimes you feel too much your head is too much in the clouds, but your feet are not on the floor. So we need to have both. Our head, our heart totally in the clouds in the sense with Jesus, with God, loving God and wanting to be with Him, otherwise and your feet deeply rooted in the earth, on the soil, otherwise something serious is not working here, you see? So that's the difficulty. We need discernment, okay? So this is the notion of growth. We will see, don't worry, I'm just going step by step, taking you from more or less where you are and going step by step. You can come here if you want, if you are bold enough to cross the sea. So, now, steady. The word steady. And I'm very keen on the word steady. Why? If you want to climb a mountain, you probably have your lunch in your rucksack, and hopefully you know more or less the length, etc., and you plan something and you know that you will do something today. You can't say, well, we will see what will happen. I have a little sandwich with me, a little bottle of water, and I'm just climbing this mountain, and then we will see. No. Sometimes, often, again, I say this humbly, I'm not really banging or accusing or anybody, I'm just helping you to open your eyes to this reality. So don't think that I'm bad and nasty about people, or no, I'm just helping to open our eyes to the richness. So some people or some places manage, if you want, the growth not in a steady way, not understanding that guys, we need to reach some place. We're not just climbing a mountain that we don't know, we have just a little sandwich and a bottle of water, and that's it, and God will provide. Yes, God provides, but not this way. God provides. God provides a map. God provides guides. God provides formation and teaching. God doesn't leave you like this. So if I plan my life, my spiritual life, like, there is a French expression, it's very difficult. I mean, in English I would say as it comes, no? Do it as it comes, without really... The French expression is difficult to translate, I don't know, vaille que vaille, which is as it comes. Willy-nilly. Willy-nilly? Oh, I found it. Never met Lily, but willy-nilly, okay? I trust you, and I trust you because you seem to understand the expression. So willy-nilly, no? No friends. Never met Lily, I guarantee you. I don't know her. So, willy-nilly, as it comes. Other expression is amateur versus professional, but amateur in a negative way. I am amateur, almost, in a way, a professional photographer as well, but amateur is sometimes they are better than professionals. Good amateurs are better than professionals, but amateur in a negative way is like an amateur. It's like he doesn't know what he's doing. No, it's like, you see, that's the thing. Amateur versus professional. Of course, I don't want it to look too uptight, too difficult, too complicated, too brainy. It's not. But I'm just saying you can't plan climbing a mountain with nothing, with not knowing anything. No guides, no map, no experienced people beside you, no idea at all, nothing with you to eat or to cover yourself, or no good shoes. You understand what I'm trying to say? Okay? So, this way of doing things willy-nilly, I'll check it, I'll go back and check it. No, because I want to see it in sentences, in literature, to see how it sounds. This will not ensure steady growth. This will not ensure steady growth. It will ensure ups and downs. So let me draw the ups and downs. Simply a line, broken line, zigzag, like this. And you don't know what is happening. You don't even know. Am I in the high or in the low? What is the high, what is the low? So this is a reading by the doctor, not the reading you make of yourself. You see what I mean? So it's the doctor who says, oh, here you went this way, that was good, but then this and this happened. You weren't aware that what you've done made it go bad, you went backward, so then you went up again, etc. So this is the doctor telling you in fact what happened, because we don't always know if we are up or down. That's another thing, another difficulty in spiritual life, okay? Now, you can guess now easily the last word I want to address, which is ensuring. What is ensuring? Well, ensuring. God saved us. Jesus died for us, but Jesus is serious. He's providing all the helps. He doesn't leave us to our own means. He doesn't abandon us and says, okay, I saved you on the cross, so you are happy. I am saved by Jesus. Hallelujah. But then after that, what am I supposed to do? Jesus doesn't abandon you. Jesus doesn't abandon us. He provides all the means, everything. So, reception of salvation or spiritual growth will be ensured. That the little span of our life will be properly used to achieve what He already achieved for each one of us on the cross, which is giving Himself totally to us. Are you following me? So He gave everything from His side. He gives us as well all the necessary means, but we need to discover them. So the little short span of our life, you might find it long, you might find it short. I say short, and if you look at history, what is 70 years, 80 years, 90 years compared to the entire history or eternity? You see, so it's still short. So this, it could be shorter, could be 20 years, could be less, could be much less. We don't know when we will die. So that short span of time given to us, God is not a tricky, strange God. He provides us all what is necessary so we could really reach the goal. Of course, I want now to start to address what about the Hindus, what about the atheists, what about this, what about that. Let us just at least sort ourselves. Let us leave this for a moment. I'm not neglecting them at all. There is a lot to be said about that, but at least if you want to help somebody, start by helping yourself first, okay? So, ensuring steady growth is something that is given by God to us, but it depends on us to learn all the different tools in order to really be inside of this ensuring. Of course, we never have absolute certainty, but we have reasonable or moral certainty that we are really doing our best in order to get the best out of the church and use it. Okay? The church has a lot of good things. We need to focus on them instead of focusing on other things. So let us focus on that. Okay? Clear? So this is just to put you in the spirit of the course. I know some of you are still asking till now, but what are you addressing this time and the next day and the other day, etc. I hope bit by bit you will start to understand why I give you the spirit, I give you the frame where we are going, but I'm following, you will be surprised to which extent I'm following you. I'm trying to give you something that is, I'm here for you. This teaching is for you. It's not an intellectual sport or exercise. I'm here to help you very humbly, if you want, to get the means that will help you. That's it. So don't ask me, because I can talk beautiful things for hours and hours, but it is not the goal. The goal is you. So what you need will appear. Of course I have plenty of things prepared, but I might stay on one point longer than others. This is why people say, but what are you about? What you will talk about? I can give you the list, but I might spend one entire day on one of these points because I will discover that people, it's a big crevice, it's a need, it's an emptiness, so I need to help here. You see what I mean? You understand? So I hope you'll be patient with me because of this. I can give you a list of things. I gave in general indications of who are the masters we are following in general, like Teresa of Avila, Saint Teresa of Avila, Saint John of the Cross, Saint Therese, and many others. I indicated the book of the Imitation of Jesus Christ. But of course, first and foremost, the Gospel. First and foremost, the Word of God. First and foremost, the essential things. Okay? Clear? So, now, let us now turn page, not your page, but turn page of what we are saying, and enter now deeper. I will tell you the story of a person. This person is Saint Teresa of Avila. And we will dig deeper in certain elements of her conversion in order to understand, according to this great master, first woman ever declared Doctor of the Church. People say, yeah, but there is Catherine of Siena. Yes, but Paul VI wanted her. So he even decided that the celebration would be her first, and then 1 or 2 weeks later, St. Catherine of Siena. So she's really the first woman ever. And if you visit St. Peter in Rome, you will see the statue of St. Teresa of Avila, and you will see written below, what will you see written below? Mother of Spirituals. Who said that? You? You? Oh, great. Excellent. Well done. Mother of Spirituals. And I think that St. Teresa of Avila belongs to her own order, the Carmelite nuns, the Discalced Carmelite nuns and the Discalced Carmelite brothers. Belongs to her order until more or less that date, I would say in a specific way. When Paul VI declares her Doctor of the Church, he declares her Doctor of the Universal Church as a guide, as a secure guide. And he has very strong words and indications during the different celebrations around the declaration of Teresa of Avila, Doctor of the Church. This happened, by the way, if I'm not wrong, the 27th of September 1970. So you see, it was the hippie style, no? Rock and roll and things, Beatles and things, you know? 1970s. At that time, Teresa of Avila is declared, and it's a difficult time for the church. The church starts to bleed. You might know it, you might not know it. No? The church starts to bleed at that moment very, very powerfully, sadly. But it's through trials that we are purified. It's through trials that we are purified, often. So, Teresa of Avila is presented by the church, by Pope Paul VI, in September 70, as a doctor of the church, but she's not doctor of the church in any topic. You can be doctor of the church like Thomas Aquinas, no? He's in theology, and a little bit of philosophy. I mean, philosophy, of course, certainly, you see. If you go to other doctors of the church, some of them are very wide. Take St. Augustine. St. Augustine, 4th, 5th century. 4th, 5th? Yes, 4th, 5th century. Wide culture, wide span of topics he addresses, from the deepest, the most spiritual bits, to the most intellectual, abstract ones on the Trinity, to very personal, like his confessions, to comments on the various books of the Bible. A huge man. We owe him almost everything in the West. He's a great column. He's the doctor of the church. If you go to others, they are more specialized in different areas. Here, Teresa of Avila is declared doctor of the church because she is in a specific field. She is declared doctor of the church in a specific field, which is spiritual life. Teaching spiritual life. A guide, a secure guide. Secure, you say? Sûr in French. Do you say secure? Sûr. Sure, guys. You understand what I mean? It's like in her hands you wouldn't err easily. Safe, secure hand guiding you. Teresa of Avila. Very humble woman, very human woman, very spontaneous, transparent. When you read her, it's as if you have her sitting in front of you. It's really a gift from God. She's really a gift from God. And I will remind me later on to tell you something about why she lands in history at that very moment of history. The relationship between Teresa of Avila and the Reformation, the Lutheran Reformation. Please don't hesitate to sort of come closer. I know it's too close, but okay. So. Sorry, it's the last people are always the first. So, you're absolutely welcome. So, I was talking about St. Teresa of Avila and how she helps us in ensuring steady growth. So, remind me please later on about telling a little bit the connection between why she lands in history at that moment and the connection with the Reformation, the Lutheran Reformation, because there is something very interesting here that could help us as well understand the world in which we live. Right? So, Teresa of Avila, she's born in 1515. We just finished celebrating the quincentenary of her birth that past year. So maybe as well it's for no reason that we are talking about her right now, because we are still in the grace of that quincentenary, 5 centuries of her birth. No? She's born in Avila. She's from, I wouldn't say wealthy, but they had all their means. Her family, a good Christian family, etc., etc. She loses her mother quite in an early age. And she enters in a monastery, a Carmelite monastery, at the age of 19 years old. 19 years old. The reasons why she enters in the monastery wouldn't really help a girl today to enter in a monastery. Because the reasons are, I would say, not really relevant enough. Just to put it nicely in English, no? Not relevant enough. So she she enters in the monastery simply because she has a friend in the monastery. Would you become a monk because your friend became a monk? I'm not sure about that, okay? So, you're absolutely welcome if you are, but second reason is because she feared hell. She feared hell. So what is this business of fearing hell? Let me explain to you from where it comes. Saint Teresa of Avila lives in a world where mortal sin is considered extremely damaging and separating us from God. And mortal sin, if we die, God forbid, in a state of mortal sin, where do we go straight? We go to hell. So she wants to avoid hell. Why she wants to avoid hell? Where is the problem? Why what's wrong there? The reason is in fact, very simple. Saint Teresa of Avila is a very outgoing person, even though she is a nun, a Carmelite nun. She will be a very contemplative person and living in solitude and all what you want. But still, she's a very outgoing, very social person. She likes people and she likes to entertain people. She has cousins, male cousins, around her. She knows how to entertain and talk, and she is a little bit attractive, physically pleasant. So she feared that something wrong could happen with one of her cousins. I'm telling you what she says. I wasn't there. So that's the reason. These are the two. I'm sure there are other more subtle and deeper reasons that moved her unconsciously to go to the monastery, and as well, I should add, reasons that moved her superiors to accept her, because today's superiors will never accept a girl with these conditions. You see what I mean? So, this is why she enters, and as you see, I'm not talking about a call. I'm not talking about Jesus. She lives in a traditional Christian life. So of course Jesus is there, but where is Jesus? Maybe somewhere, you know? We don't know. But you will see how it will unfold. So, for 19 years, extra 19, she enters at 19, for more 19, she enters 19, 20, and for 19 years, so she's 39. So for 19 more years, she lives the life of a nun, a Carmelite nun, but the Carmelite of the non-reformed, because she will reform after. So I wouldn't say that I wouldn't say that she sinned. It's impossible. I wouldn't say that she wasn't faithful to the rule of her monastery or the constitutions of her monastery, etc. Not at all. She was a good nun. She liked a lot to talk about God. So many people would come to see her, lay people would come to see her in that room called parlotry. No? Parlotry is a room in the monasteries where you can meet people and talk, have a meeting, an encounter, and talk and share things and whatever. During these years, she discovers how to pray in a deeper way. She discovers what she calls, what was called at her time, recollection. How to recollect ourselves, how to enter deeply in ourselves in order to find Jesus, in order to find God. She read books like the Third Abecedary, I don't know how you pronounce it, which is like a vocabulary, like a dictionary, Third Abecedary, ABC, Abecedary, of Francisco de Osuna. Francisco de Osuna. He's a Franciscan who wrote like a little dictionary, if you want, but less voice, less entrances, less words, and longer explanation. So she read that book, and especially the explanation of recollection. How to recollect yourself. Which is a way of praying that eases things for us. Where is God? God is in me, or God is beside me, so let me not be too much outside in my senses, but focus more, go deeper inside and find the Lord. So come out, if you want, of my senses, of my outer being, and get closer and deeper inside. By the way, a little parenthesis, a historical parenthesis, the Franciscans in Spain, remember, she's born 1515, we are in what is known to be the golden century in Spain. Each great country has a golden head. It's not mandatory, but head, a golden age, a golden century. And remember that Spain's golden century is the 16th century, which is 1500s. And she lives in that century. But a little bit before the beginning of that century, which means the end of the 15th century, 1490 something, the Franciscans started a reform of their way of life and talked a lot about recollection. And even they started to practice in some monasteries 3 hours of recollection every day, which you can translate today, silent prayer, just stay still and be with the Lord, contemplative prayer, you know, all what we hear about today, which is stay still and be there and meditate in silence, etc., and be with the Lord, they used to practice that 3 hours a day. So when Teresa of Avila discovers prayer, she's not discovering something, just a single thing. There is a movement that precedes her. There are already many books in Spain. I have the list of the spiritual and mystical books in Spain of that century. It is impressive. We think that we are really having a lot of things, but this is nothing to be compared with, for instance, Spain in the golden century. Okay, the list of all the different books on prayer, on spiritual life, on recollection, on mystical journey, blah blah blah, etc. It's impressive. You see the richness that we don't know. So Teresa of Avila is born in this milieu, in this how to say milieu, in this setup. Setting, yes, in this setting. Okay? That's important to know. She didn't invent the wheel. She perfected the wheel and presented the wheel in a working way. But she didn't invent the wheel. The wheel, of course, is that prayer, that spiritual life. She received things, but then she received graces, personal graces, in order then after to explain. So, now, during these 19 years, of first stage of her life as a nun, she reads these books and starts to practice this prayer, this what classically we used to call it mental prayer. Today we might call it rather contemplative prayer. In the Catechism of the Catholic Church, if you open the Catechism, in the 4th part, and you see the different ways of prayer, you will have meditation, you will have Lectio Divina, and then you will have contemplative prayer. But this is an English expression. The translators chose to translate Oratio Mentalis in Latin, or the French oraison, simply, to translate it in English in contemplative prayer. So a bit of flexibility is good, don't worry. These are expressions, we need to understand what is behind the expression, not to be too fanatical about this or that expression, because as I said, classically it's mental prayer. But today, if you say mental prayer, the church people will look at you and say, what? Sorry? I don't understand, what do you mean by that? You see? Generally, we'll say that, okay? So, she discovers mental prayer or contemplative prayer, and she starts to practice, but she practices it on and off. on and off. On and off. She gets ill, her father dies, etc., etc., etc. during these years. Now, this is very interesting for us. Why? Because Teresa of Avila is not having, a steady growth spiritual life. She really embodies a little bit what we are trying to see together. She doesn't have steady growth. Because she takes some means, look, she's a nun, she's not even a lay person. She takes some means that she has available. She doesn't have full guidance. There are essential elements lacking, we will see, the Lord himself, Jesus. And there are other problems, and this is what we will see as well together, that she will explain later on when she will start to write. Okay? So this is Teresa of Avila during 19 years. And of course, there is a need for change, a little bit like the church of her time and the church in the previous 3 centuries, the 3 centuries that precede her. There is a great need and desire of reformation in the church, but that never succeeds. This is maybe why as well Martin Luther was sort of something will explode at a certain point, because there is 3 centuries of desire of reformation before that century that is not really reaching the point. Okay, so it's very interesting to see the little parallel between the state of the church and what is happening to Teresa of Avila. Shall we take a little break? Because otherwise you will explode.